Subscribe our channel and press the bell icon for watching more video.
In this section, we will talk about file handling. You're going to learn how to open files and read and write on them using Python. Let's start by creating a text file in our course folder. We can use the idle to do that. So I'll just go to File, New File. Let's write some text on our file. And now let's save it in our course folder. So I'll just pick text files, and I'm going to name it test.txt. Now if we go to the course folder, we can see that the file has been created. Now I'm going to open a Python program, which I just created, that is also in the course folder. So in this program, I can create a variable, and I can use the open function, and here I need to pass the path for the file we want to open. Since they are in the same folder, we just need to type the name of the file. So test.txt. Now we need to pass a second argument, which is the mode. So in this case, we just use R, that would be the read mode. Since R is the default mode, you can omit it if you are just opening the file to read it. So we can just leave it like this. Now let's print the f variable, and let's use the read function. So here we have the text that we just wrote inside our txt file. To write on our file, we can use the w mode. So in the open function, let's pass the w mode as the second argument. Be careful because this mode will overwrite whatever is inside the file. So now instead of printing, let's just type f.write. Now we could just run our program and open the file, but instead of doing it, let's just open it again after we do that in the read mode. And let's print the content of the file again. So now we can see that the text we had has been erased, and now this is the content of our file. If you don't want to overwrite what's in your file, instead of using the W mode, you can use the A mode, which is used to append. So now let's write this text will be appended to the file. This is going to be appended right after the text that is already there. So this means in the same line without any space. We could add a space here, but it's even better to add a line break. So for that, inside our string, you can just type /n. This is used to print line breaks in Python. So let's run this program again and see what happens. Now instead of overwriting what we had in our file, we just added a new line. It is important to mention that the append and write modes can also be used to create a new file. So if we pass a file name that does not exist, it is going to create one. The read mode will return an error if the file does not exist. So here, instead of opening an existing file, let's use the create mode that is represented by an X. Let's write test2. Now if I run this line of code, we can go to the folder and see that our new file has been created. If we run it again, it's going to return an error because the file already exists. So like I just said, We could use the write or append modes, because if the file does not exist, they will create one. But it's good to know that you also have this option, which will return an error if the file already exists. Now, before we finish this lesson, how could I create a file in another folder on my computer? Let's say in the desktop. If I want to do that, I just need to write the full path. So I'm just going to go to the idle. So I'm just going to create a variable called f. I'm going to use the open function. And now I have to write the full path, which in the Mac is going to be users/Ivan L. Gomez, which is my username. Desktop. Let's create a file called myfile.txt. So for that, I'm just going to use the X mode. Since I'm just using the open function to create a file, I'm not going to read it afterwards. I don't have to create a variable. I can just use the open function directly like this. So if I run this and go back to my desktop, I can see that the file has been created. So if you want to work in different folders on your computer, all you have to do is type in the full path. So this was all for this lesson. I'll see you in the next video. Hi there! In this lesson, we will work with Excel sheets in Python. You can download the sample worksheet I published with this video. So here we have one sheet for sales and one sheet for customers. Excel sheets are a bit more complicated than text files. Here we have cells, we have columns, rows, sheets, so we will need to use something more robust than the open function to be able to work properly with Excel sheets. For that, we're going to be using Pandas, a very popular module for data analysis in Python. There are several other modules available to work with Excel sheets, so you can make a research if you want to know more. So let's just go to the terminal and type pip install pandas. You can see that I already had it, but this is not a problem. And we also need to install another module called XLRD. Now let's import pandas. I'm just going to use the name PD. And I'm going to create a new variable called file. And I'm going to use pandas function called Excel file. Be careful with the capital letters E and F. Here I need to pass the path and the file name. So as I just saved that file on my desktop, I'm just going to write the path for the desktop, and then the name of the file is sales.xlsx. Now that we just opened the file using pandas, we can perform different actions like reading the sheet names. So let's print file.sheet names. So now we have a list with two elements, which are sales and customers, which, if we go back to our worksheet, are the exact names of the sheets we had. We can also read the sheets. So let's create a new variable called sheet. And let's use file.parse. And now we need to pass which sheet we want to read. In this case, this is going to be the sales sheet. Now let's see what we have inside the sheet variable. And here we have the content of our Excel sheet. Let's see what type of data is this. So type sheet. And we can see that the data is of a type called pandas data frame. This is actually really good because this is going to give us many options to easily work with our data. For example, if we want to print the date column, we can just type print sheet and then use the dot notation with the name of the column. We can also print the sum of a column, so we can do it like sheet dot amount, which is this column. And instead of just printing the amount, I can use the sum method. So now I just have the total amount of my sales. Now let's say I want to print a specific line of my sheet. I can just do sheet.lock. That is a function that is going to locate a record. In this case, I'm just going to get record 0. Please note that in our worksheet, our first column was the date column. And here we also have the indexes. Pandas just did it automatically, so it's easier for us to work with our values. So if I do it like this, it just printed the first line, which represents a sale. We can also get a specific value of this sale by typing a second argument. So I want the first line, but I just want the amount. We can also make a search, for instance, for all sales made to a specific customer. So let's first type sheet.set index. Then we just type the column name we want to assign as an index. And you need to pass a second argument called inPlace equals true. Now, instead of locating an index, you can locate a value in the customer column. So let's try to locate this one. And now it just returned all the sales made to this customer. After doing that, you can set the index again to other columns, or you can just type sheet equals sheet dot reset index. Just typed it wrong. I'm sorry, sheet. So now you could use the index to search again. If you don't want to set the index before making your search, let's remember what happens when we do this. So let's get the name of a column, let's say invoice. Let's see what data type is this. And now we can see that this is a series, which is a column of a data frame. So we could use it together with the lock function like this. So instead of passing a value, let's pass a series. And now let's put a condition like 99. And now we just located invoice number 99. We could also do cool things like amount greater than 2,000. And now we only printed the invoices that are greater than 2,000. We can also get the invoice with the highest amount using a function. So instead of doing this, we could just use the function idx max. And now it just returns to us what is the invoice with the highest amount. Now remember that all those results we are printing are always data frames or series, which is a column of the data frame. So we can always get specific columns of the result as well. So we just did it like this. And now we can get only the customer that had the invoice with the highest amount by getting a specific column of this data frame. Now let's see some more interesting things we can do. Let me copy this, and instead of 2000, let me write 1800. So now we have 3 invoices, but 2 of them are for the same customer. So I could do it like this and just get the customer names. And I could even avoid repetition by using .unique. Now I have a list of all the customers that had invoices with amounts greater than 1800, and I don't have any repetition on my list. You could use this to get specific ones, so you could use indexes. So this way I'm gonna get the first one, or you could even loop through this list. Let's say for customer in. Let me copy this. Let's just print the customer. Really cool, right? So this was all for this lesson. I'll see you in the next video.